Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. Join us as we talk about all things radio controls. And now, your host,
Folks, this man, he is the king.
Mr. CCxRC himself, Tony CC.
Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another While My Batteries Charge podcast. We're going to have a great time today. We've got RC Patina Guy here with us today, Eric, and he's going to be talking with us about how he got into RC and how he makes such cool bodies. Eric, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I've been following your work now for about a year or so, and always been very interested in it because if you see my logo, you'll notice it's not like a clean, it's kind of like a spray paint. You know, I like things that are a little bit aged, I will say. Like the patina work you do just draws me in to the body work that you do, because I don't know, it just has texture to it. And that's the kind of guy I am. I like textured things and a little bit rough and raw, and you do it so well. So that's why when I had that Lloyd body idea, I had to get in touch with you. So
awesome. Well, I'm glad you reached out.
Well, it turned out awesome. We'll talk about that in a little bit because I'm super stoked with it. But let's first talk about you and how you got into doing the whole RC game and painting and whatever. But let's first start talking about what like drew you into the hobby.
So I think my first RC was 1978. I don't know if you were even born then.
I was not.
But so I think I was like 12 or 13. And my dad bought me this RC car. It was called the Firefox. It was silver. And I don't recall who made it. And I posted it before. But that was my first RC car. And I was like, man. And I've always loved, cars. And my dad was a sports car guy, and he never had the muscle cars, but he always had the European sports cars. And so back then I was very intrigued with die cast and just the detail. And so when he got me my first RC, I was like blown away, right? I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Even though it wasn't like a die cast, it wasn't detailed like that, but it was still like die cast. You just look at them and, enjoy them. But these RC cars, man, you could drive them. You can, it's like you can do so much more. So that was kind of my first experience back when I was like 12 or 13. And then over the years, I would get another car here and there and just kind of drop off here and there, right, as a kid, and got into just riding bicycles, BMX.
Yeah, dude, I BMX'd. I hear you on that.
So that was kind of, I would go on and off, and that's kind of where I started. And I didn't really paint any of these cars, not until probably maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I started painting. And I'm an artist at trade, like my career, I'm a designer. So I started out with, back in the 90s, commercial advertising. So I would work with, an advertising agency back in Texas. And that's kind of where I started my career as an artist.
So was this before computers and all that?
Yeah, we had to do everything by hand, right? So yeah, it was way before computers. I mean, the Lisa was out, I think, and then I worked at a sign company too, like doing vinyl lettering for companies and cars and stuff like that. So, but I was more into like, doing everything by hand. Back then, you would have to do everything by hand. You had a stat machine, you had, film, you had to process, do all this stuff by hand. So I've been in the artist industry in the world for, since like 92.
Okay. That's awesome. My my dad was an artist. We grew up he had a screen print shop, and I did graphic design, and I worked in a different screen print shop when I moved to Virginia Beach. So I love the whole design element, and it's kind of what drew me to doing film, because that's what I do on a daily basis. Is film is with my dad and his art stuff. I saw everything kind of in in boxes and frames and saw
Yeah.
imagery that way. But that's awesome to hear. So what do you remember? What was the first body when you got back into doing it that you did?
So the first body I painted, I believe, was a Vertex. And this was back in 2009. It was my
Okay.
first body I painted. But I didn't do patina. I just painted. I started painting. My son was about, I don't know, like 10. And I got him into bashing, and I bought him my first basher, and we painted it, and that was cool, right? So, but I didn't get into the patina stuff until like years later. So, the patina stuff was started. Let's see, it started out May of 2020, actually. So
Okay.
during this whole COVID thing. So even though I was painting bodies before.
So I found you pretty quickly after you started then.
Yeah. Like as a business, I started this. Like I've been doing this for a long time, painting and doing graphic design and doing web design and doing user experience, working in the UI with the iPhone back in 2007, when it first came out. So I had that background, but the painting stuff, working with my hands, that came out, like in May of 2020. And the way I started was I had painted a power wagon, and I did it yellow, and I did it patinaed, and I took it. I wanted some lights because I wasn't very good with like installing lights or doing all the electronics or anything. So I took it into JJ Customs, as you can see back here,
Yep.
and he put the light kit in there for me, and he came up to me. He's like, dude, who painted that? And I said, oh, I did that. And he's like, man, that's really cool. How did you do all that? And I said, oh, I was just messing around with, different paints, salt, kind of giving all these effects. I would go online to see what other people were doing. And he said, you could actually, like, people would want to buy that. And I go, really? And I was like, who would want to buy that? Right.
Yeah.
And because I didn't really know that there were guys out there that were painting for a service. And so that night I came home and I thought, man, I guess I could do that. So like, since I'm a designer, I created this website.
Yeah.
And then like a week after that, I talked to Jason and I go, hey, I just made my website. And he was like, dude, you're moving fast. And so then I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to make a business out of this. Because, during this COVID, we all started working from home. And I was bored, dude. I wanted to work with my hands. I wanted to do something again, not just on the computer, but like I wanted to touch it and just do stuff like sand and just kind of do custom stuff. And so I got my license, my business license as a small business, LLC, and yeah, that's where it took off. And then I just started pushing marketing and joining blogs and watching videos and watching all you guys and just getting immersed in the RC industry and just kind of reaching out to people.
And you know what? I bet it was through JJ Customs that I actually heard about you and found out about you. Some of those guys on that West Coast side, and it probably linked me somehow to your stuff. And yeah, I'm betting I didn't know that was all the backstory with that, because like I said, right after you got started, I'd found you and been following you on Facebook ever since.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
some of the first people you did bodies for, do you remember?
Yeah. So, like besides myself and my first like client was Chad Melton, and he's out of Tennessee, I think. He's out there, and he does a lot of competition, and he's a big Power Wagon fan, and and he was one of my first clients that I can recall that he gave me like I think 3 Power Wagons to do the cabs, and with ideas and stuff, and I did it for him, and then he started posting them, and he kind of made me a little bit known on the East Coast, because people saw his stuff on the East Coast and then reached out to me and said, hey, can you do mine? And then I started doing just like power wagons. That's all I did. I'm like,
Wow.
man, you know, I just started cabs, and then I did I strayed a little bit from the patina stuff because I somebody reached out to me to do a red tail airplane themed power wagon with a bed, and so it was silver with rivets and like, you know, silver and red. And I ordered all these decals, like, you know, give me that red tail theme, 1940s firefighter, right?
Yeah.
And so I did that, and a gentleman bought it, and he was pretty blown away by it. And I was like, oh, well, I wonder if I should do, you know, the fancy stuff or the patina stuff. But then, you know, I was really like, I really enjoyed the patina stuff because it's, for me, I'm a perfectionist, and if I do something fancy, which I can do, but it stresses me out because
Right.
if there's some bleed, I go nuts. You know, it's like, man, So I'll do the fancy stuff here and there, but really that's the whole purpose of the logo and the name, RC Patina Guy, right? Because I want to do, and I enjoy doing patina style paint jobs.
Now, your stuff you've had in some of the magazines already, so you quickly kind of got some stuff out there, and because people recognize it. In fact, one of your trucks, your own personal trucks, was in Car Action, and
yeah. So I was really fortunate enough to what did I do? I posted, I responded to a post, and Lee, he's the editor for Car Action magazine, reached out to me and said, hey man, you know, would you like to put your stuff on there? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, it's going to give me some exposure. And I was totally excited about it, because I really, even now, I'm a little bit more aware of my, you know, of how people know me. But for a whole year, I was like so oblivious to, like, no, you know, nobody knows me yet. You know, I'm trying to push hard to get the word out that I'm doing this, but you know, it was just kind of surreal, and I still think like I'm not that popular. It's, you know, so that's, and so going back to the magazine, I had my first power wagon that I did, and I you know, I really wanted to do this. It was called the Copper Dog, and I got the logo and the idea from an actual brewery company, and I thought, oh, I'll just use that. It's pretty cool, you know, whiskey, and you know, they have whiskey, and they sell, you know, they have a bar, I think. And so I saw the logo, and I thought that would be cool to put on the side of one of these power wagons, and make it patina, make it copper and steel, and you know. And so I bought also Shapeways interior, you know, the whole interior for the power wagon, and I painted that, and I just found it really fun. And so when I finished that one, Lee said, yeah, we could put that in the magazine. And so that was my first issue, my first feature in RC Car Action magazine.
That one's like low, right?
It's a belly crawler.
Super low.
Yeah. It's like, I had Neil, he's out here on the West Coast. He built it for me because, like, I don't build this stuff, you know. I don't enjoy building it. It's just
the cars themselves.
Yeah, the cars themselves. Like, you know, getting a kit and building it, it's too tedious. I don't have the patience.
On that one.
I just don't have the patience for it. It's just like too many, you know. I can do it.
I've grown into it though. I've grown into it, but I was with you for a long, long time on that.
Yeah.
It's tedious.
Yeah, and so I've done. I think I built one only, and it's like it's too much work, and I enjoy the painting and making it look cool. So I did that, and he built it for me. And, you know, I bought everything, and then he put it together. He put the chassis together. I used Flat Gecko's chassis. He's out of I think out of the UK, or I can't remember. He's out on the other side of the world. So I bought his chassis, his rails, and then I just bought a bunch of other, you know, Reefs 500 servo, and just a, you know, hobby wing, and just a bunch of other electronics. And so I put that together and took pictures, and then submitted it to RC Car Action, and yeah, it was published, and it came out. And I even made, like, you know, I framed it, you know, the first magazine. And it's funny because I used to be an art director for a publication myself, so I knew the whole process of doing that. But and I would always go out to do, you know, photo shoots and
Yeah.
take the cover and you know, do all the covers and designs and all that. But to be in myself to be featured was, you know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty neat and exciting.
I still have not been. I haven't even ever submitted anything, but I bet if I did, I would have it on the wall, like you just said, that first one for sure.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat to look at, you know, and you know, I don't know. Um I don't think of myself as like super popular or super I don't know. It's just, yeah, I just do what I do and I like doing it, right? It's not, you know, and I like when you reach out to me and asked me to do this, I was so stoked because like the exposure that you have, it will give me exposure because I still feel like I need more exposure. Like I don't have enough exposure. You know, I'm still always trying to like connect with people and do this and that. Just, you know, because I don't know, I just see it that way. And so when you reached out to me, I was like, oh man, this guy has a lot of views. And I knew you from Josh and Matt's video, right? From their live, and you did monster trucks, and at first I thought you wanted me to do a monster truck, and I'm like,
right,
oh, that's gonna be cool.
So that's what's funny, like, and that's why I cheese with Josh about is that, like, because that's two things now, at least two things where it's like, he didn't know what it was, or he, you know, kind of was like, why would they make this? And it's like, well, that's because the monster truck guys want it for a Saigon shaker body, or like those new tires that he was just talking about. Like those were Bigfoot tires. Those are like scale for us. Those are like, yes, like you want scale stuff for your crawlers. Well, that for us monster truck guys, those are scale. We can actually make a Bigfoot now with the right tires on it. So
right.
Yeah, so it's funny. So that's why I intentionally was like, well, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to put on his crawler because of that. So, and then, but I wanted it to be awesome and you know, rustic and like this old truck. And I had a body for it for months. And I think I'd reached out to you once. But I think it was Slant. You were busy or something had happened, but I reached out to you again finally. And I'm glad I did, because then you're like, yeah, man, let's do it. So, but yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, those kind of projects I love because, like, I always think, okay, what can I do? Not just paint it, but what can I do to, you know, I always add something that I feel it needs and that I enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Whether the client wants it or not, like I'll just do it anyways.
Yeah,
you know, it's like just part of what I do. And
well,
so
and that's where people come to you, is because you're the artist. So in my mind, I went to you saying, here's some things I like, but you know, I want you to do you. Like you have a style, and whatever it is that you think works for this, I'm coming to you because I want you to put your artistic vision into it. So
yeah, and that's like for every artist, right? That's the beauty of that, right? Let us do what we want to do, and if you like what we do, then it's perfect. You know, we get clients that are specific and they want certain things, and that's fine too. I don't mind, but I always add something else, and I won't charge them for that. You know, I'll just do it because I think it's going to add to what the paint job or the style is. And so I always like the wood bed. Like I love doing that because, you know, why just paint it or put a decal? Yeah, you could do that, but it looks cooler if you do real wood.
Yeah,
you know, and you beat it up. And then I you know, for that one, I added the bullets because it's a military, and you know, and I source all these little things everywhere. Or I'll have like guys that do 3D printing for me and like one-offs, and you know, I have like three guys that do my 3D printing because I don't have time or the resources to do all that. So, but yeah, that thing was really cool. And then I thought, oh, I'll just put that military tarp on the top, you know, and like, how am I going to do that? So I start thinking about it before I realize, how can I do this? So it kind of puts me in like deep water, because I'll tell people, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'll like, how am I going to do that? I don't even know, you know? And so
you found it for mine. It was killer when you put that that canvas top on it. That was
yeah, and that was
level.
that canvas top was for a big military rig. I just had to cut it and re-glue it and just kind of form it and put it on there and then use the Velcro, and so
Yeah.
that's the fun part.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen it, I now have a run video with it up on the channel that looks awesome out on the trail. Not super scale because there were leaves here. I mean, if
Yeah.
time of year is, for the scale guys, don't watch it if you don't like seeing leaves on the ground. But if you want to see how it can look, it turned out fantastic.
Yeah.
Even if you don't love that particular body, like everyone's still like, well, okay, it works. He did a good job.
Yeah. People think like that's the ugliest body. Well, the actual truck is not, it's like ugly. The real one, I mean, it's just not a very attractive type of military vehicles. But what other than the Hummer, what military vehicles are cool, right? I mean, I don't know.
And Jeeps are overdone,
Yeah, and that's like, they've been around forever. But yeah, I thought it came out pretty neat. I really liked it. I wasn't a big fan of it, but giving that.
And then I threw a wrench in there that you knew Josh hated it.
Yeah, exactly.
You are not having to make it.
Yeah, that was pretty. I thought that was kind of fun to do. Say, hey, look what we got, Josh.
Yeah.
So
he laughed about it. So
yeah. Anyways, that's that's always cool. Going back to the magazine, and now that I've been doing more and more. I went to Axial Fest and I did another rig, and I did a power wagon as well. And I had Dan Thompson, which built me out of another belly. I don't know, is it belly crawlers? Is that what they call them? Or belly scrapers? I don't know all the
dragger.
Yeah. But I saw his and I thought, this is cool, man. Can you build me one? And he's like, yeah. And so he built me one, and then I had these Vanquish. I think they were from 2009. The bullet shells, right? The dirty, hairy shells.
Yeah.
That Vanquish made, and I built that, and then I thought, what can I do to this body that is totally different, but it has a gun theme to it. So I was going to do it all silver and everything, but then I researched like old, 1800 pistols. And I saw how they were all engraved, and I'm like, man, that would be cool to do that on this power wagon. So yeah, so then I did that and took it to Axial Fest, and yeah, I got first place on that one. So that was
that was awesome. That's a good award. There's some good people there that take their trucks next level. So to get an award,
dude, there's
insane, man.
I look up to all these other guys that are builders, and man. Elio, he does the Scale City, and he does some amazing work. I don't weld, and I don't do all this type of fabrication, but man, these guys, I'm blown away. And there's guys that I haven't met that are, from the East Coast, and they're amazing, dude. I mean, Joel Buttons, he's been in the magazines, Scott Lampert, Wes. All these guys are like amazing. I look up to those guys like, man, those guys are really good at what they do, building with styrene and stuff. But I like to paint. I just like to create. I like to create one-on-ones. Like, that's my favorite. If a guy has or a girl has a truck or something that's, either from 1940s all the way to like early 80s, and I can patina that stuff, and they have, one of those vehicles, and they want me to recreate it with a body that exists, dude, that's the most fun. I enjoy doing that, because then I'll try and match every piece of rust on it, or, and I've done a few like that, and it's just a lot of fun for me.
That's awesome. One of the cool ones that I saw that you'd done was the infraction. You did an infraction, and that thing turned out awesome.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what it was called, something beast, or
it was what was it called?
Like a light, like a
A teal.
teal color, teal white with the
Yeah,
white
it was.
balls
They're
on
all
it.
whiskey. They're all whiskey.
Was it Whiskey Beast?
Yeah, something like that. I'm trying to remember. Shoot, I can't remember. It's been a while. Yeah, I'll create these logos, and and just add my touch to it.
Moonshine Beast. I just found it.
Yeah,
Moonshine
yeah,
Beast.
moonshine. Yeah, moonshine beast. That's right. Yeah, with a skull and flames and
The
yeah,
guns. Yeah.
that one was really cool. I enjoyed doing that one. And then I also did a felony for a guy in the UK,
Okay.
and an armor felony, and that one was all like patina. It was black with like just rust. And I know that a lot of these cars and realistic scale guys, they're like, well, that's all fiberglass, it wouldn't rust, but
Oh
it
yeah.
it's sometimes even though those wheel wells or it's fiberglass or whatever, I'll sun damage those, and patina the stuff that would be metal. But sometimes the client wants it to be all patina, whether it's not realistic or not. He just wants it that way. So then you got to say, okay, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I
I'll
didn't
go
do
with
my
it.
research on my TF2, and I did that to mine and added some little rust, and like, well, that front fender well or front
Yeah,
clip wouldn't have rusted. I'm like, okay, oops. Sorry.
yeah, I know, right? It's
It
all
looks
right. I
good
mean,
that way though, so
yeah, and that's the thing. Some things are okay to do as a creative artist
yeah.
paint job, right? And then there's other things like okay, maybe you should do it like the way it should look,
Yeah. And that
So,
depends too um if you're putting into competitions where they might want to they call it like suspension of disbelief or whatever, right? Like where you kind of in movies you let yourself go over things that are totally would have never happened because of
right.
the way that it works for the story. You suspend your belief in that could have happened or could not have happened. And so that's where I was with it. Like the truck that I got, I didn't like the color at all. And so it's just a matter of I needed to weather this to a degree where it wasn't, the blue that I didn't like. So,
Yeah, right.
um, yeah. So, and I just took liberties in order to, because I didn't want to repaint the whole thing. So I didn't want to strip it all down, take out the windshields and all that. So,
Yeah. And like talking about like windshields and stuff for that Power Wagon, I actually opened up the windshield and put hinges on it like a real Power Wagon has, right? And so those were the kinds of things that I like to do that are different, that I haven't
yeah.
seen out there. Or some people like, well, I open the bonnet as well, right? And so for me, it was really, I opened it because that's where I had the on button, and I had it.
You need to get to it.
Yeah, I needed to get to it, so I did that. But then people were like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So then it just gives me ideas of to doing other things that haven't been done, or maybe somebody's done it but didn't do it the same way. And so you learn from, I learn from other guys too, and I'm one to also teach and share what I do.
Yeah.
Like in this past article, I painted a deadbolt, the little 124 scale and the big one, and then they did a how-to, little steps. And so I did a quick, I think it was like a 10-step process of just using regular paints with a sponge brush, and you can patina it in like 30 minutes, just with your kid or with
From the stock color, the stock paint job.
yeah, with the stock paint job, so that you don't have to get clear body and have somebody paint it, and you could do it yourself if you wanted to, right? So like there's a lot of little tricks and tips that I like to share as well. I keep some of the stuff to myself, obviously,
Right.
but
You have some tricks.
yeah, it's like the process, this whole process that I evolved from doing salt to using different mediums and different paint styles. It's evolved from that salt all the way to what I do now. And I've gotten to the point where like I'm trying to really make it look like rust, like literally without using like actual chemicals, because
Yeah.
if you got to be careful with the Lexan, it'll eat it. So you
Yeah.
can't really use that. So I've tried to mixed paints, mixed types of acrylics with with a Tamiya paint or something, to get a
And
good.
do you heat gun them sometimes and push in the Lexan and dent them and stuff too?
I do with the Lexan. I like to use my solder gun. You got to be careful with it though, because you could go too far,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't look realistic. It looks like it was a hot spot, and then it just bubbled up, right? So you kind of have to just practice if you want to do it. But I like to use a solder gun to get the rust edges on the wheel wells. I have it's a little hammer, and it has a ball at the end, and I'll heat that up, and then I'll heat the Lexan and do little dents.
Tap with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
there's
cool.
little things that you can I
It's
like
time,
little
and that's
tools.
what people need to know. Like when they're paying you to do a job, it's not just a quick spray paint job and whatever, masking. There's a lot of work that goes in and steps.
Right. My wife's like, "Yeah,
So,
we're having dinner right now."
okay.
That's all right.
We won't keep you much longer.
No. They knew I was going to do this. She just forgot. You can edit that part out. But or you could keep it in. It's all right. It's fun, when the wife comes in, she knows what you're doing. But so it does take time. It takes time to do, some of these guys, and I like to, I'm impatient. So I like, so if I reach out to somebody to do a service for me, I know what it takes, but I also want it like instant gratification. So I think that way with my bodies, right, that I do for clients. I'm like, I don't want them waiting forever. I want to do it as quickly as I can. Like, I know that yours was, you had reached out to me, and I finally got to it, but it took me, it took me maybe a week to do, because there wasn't a whole lot of, like, it was just a solid body.
Yeah.
It's not like in pieces and it has a cage, or it has, you got to disassemble, kind of like the Traxxas bodies, right? With the Bronco, it has all these parts, or the Rubicon ones. They're just, I don't do those anymore because they're too time consuming, and there's too many parts, 3D parts that you would have to paint. And I've done like 3 or 4 of them. But man, I'm like, okay, I can't do these anymore, because then it holds up the line, and people start waiting months and months, and nobody wants to wait. Right now I'm a 4-month to 5-month waiting list. And then I got these Cheech and Chong builds that, are
is that with the
Red Cat?
Red Cats? Yeah.
Yeah, the Red Cat Impala, right? So I've done 6 Impalas. And now that Red Cat took it to the Super Show in Las Vegas, and then also in Arizona, people see the first one that I did for them, and they reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want one." Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's gonna, it takes a month to do. It just, it's time consuming. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of 3D parts, and a lot of things I do by hand with styrene, and I'll create the lock, and I'll create the, I'll buy the little chain, and I'll do, I have to, like, the mirrors are, modified. I'll buy Traxxas mirrors and modify the Red Cat ones and merge them together. And there's a lot of modifications in the interior and everything, right? So it takes time to do those. And people are waiting for them. So this gentleman, he's in Canada, and has been waiting, almost 6 months for me to finish it. Yeah, but he's been cool about it, but it just takes time.
That's part of the custom. When you want something custom and you can't do it yourself, it takes long enough when you got to do it yourself. But when you got other people that you have to rely on, there's nothing's fast when you're doing custom work. I always say.
Yeah, nothing's fast, and but luckily,
especially if you want it done well, right?
Yeah.
There's that whole thing that they do: fast, cheap,
right,
good, right.
Right. Yeah,
So.
and those are, they're not cheap and stuff, but people want them, and it's kind of cool. And I like making them. They're fun, and so I've been doing a lot of 64s. Right now I'm doing a Ice Cube, the gold one. So I'm doing that for a gentleman in Hawaii. So he's doing that. And then I'm also doing two Vanquish Phoenixes. One's mine and one's a client. And then those are hopefully will be in sometime next year in the issue as well.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm painting some low C drag cars as well. I do
Nice.
The DR10 bodies, the limitless bodies.
Is there a place where people can see some of the ones that you've done? Do you post them usually?
Oh
Or
yeah, they're all on my Instagram. Every body that I painted, has been on my Instagram. I'll post on there. Facebook. I started out Facebook first. So if you go into my photo gallery, you'll see all the ones I've done there. And I have videos of the Cheech and Chong build that I did. There's videos uploaded for that. And then also, I do have a YouTube channel. I'm not very active in it, but there's a few videos on there. Me painting, me creating the grill for the Cheech and Chong build, and just doing a bunch of different little things. But, I don't do videos because it's very time consuming.
It's very time consuming.
Yeah. I don't have edited software, and it's just, and I'm painting. So I try not to, do 3D stuff or fab or build, or I just, I want to stick to just painting. And I have a vinyl cutter that I'll use for graphics or whatever. And I've just recently been doing water decals for the lowriders. Because, I don't paint the lowriders that are custom with flake, because I don't have I'm doing this in my garage. I don't have, I don't have the right space or the right tools to do that, because all I use is Tamiya paint, rattle cans. I don't use airbrush. I have an airbrush and I know how to use it. I just use it for usually like 3D scale items.
Mm-hmm.
But the rattle can is for the cars.
Yeah. So what's your space like? Can you give us a little quick?
Sure.
In?
Yeah, okay. So I have, it's kind of a mess. I'll turn the light on. So here's the kind of my little display of an alley. So you can kind of see it here. I just finished painting some stuff. It's not really clean right now, but I have all my scale, like dumpster and little mailbox you can see down there.
Yeah.
There we go. And so then, and then I have some die-cast cars up here. But like, this is my scale garage. You can see, here's the scale garage that I have where I take all my photos. This is for a client right now. It's still, I put her on my own chassis, but it's going to have all these patterns and everything on here. But yeah, I'll give you a little tour of the scale garage with the, with all the banners and the Coca-Cola and the tires and everything.
Nice.
And yeah, so this is kind of my display photo place here. And then obviously, I have other stuff. So I'll give you a little tour of like bodies. Little bodies here and there, and put everything up. And then I have my workbench. Let me walk over here. Here's where I have I'll turn it around. So this is my workbench. You can see that this is the new Cheech and Chong I'm doing right now.
It's even got a little background for where you work.
Yeah. So this is from the box, right? I think it's the Enduro box.
Yep.
Element. Yeah. And so, I have all my tools. I have all my stuff here. So it's just kind of my workbench, and it's usually pretty clean. So when I start a new body, I'll clean it all up and then start on it, and then start working on it. So this is the number 6 Cheech and Chong build. If you haven't seen it, here's all the front end that that I've done. So it's all, I got to cut the grill to put the horns in. I have to create the bottom there. There's a lot of little details that still need to be done. And then I got to do the interior. And this one has the little if you can see that on the mirror, it has when Cheech was trying to pick up Chong, and he was dressed like a girl, and he has the little double bubbles. He called her double bubbles on there, but it's fun. It's really cool. So I'm doing that right now, but that's my work area, and I got all my Lexan bodies down here, and it's crowded. It's not very
You got a lot going on though.
yeah, man, and I have boxes of Lexan bodies from clients that ship them out. I'm doing one for Operation Charlie. I'm doing one for um, oh my, I'm doing a lot. Right now, there's about 20 people in the lineup.
Wow.
That I have, and then I'm working on my next Proline by the Fire
Build.
theme, yeah, and build. So one's going to be, I think it's going to be a medieval. I think that's the theme, and then the other I'm going to do a military theme.
Okay. Now, do you run your trucks when you're there?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
take them out on the trail. They're not shelf queens.
Yeah, no, I use them all.
Well, you paint them in a way too that if you damage them, it actually just adds to the look, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's like they're pretty durable. Like if you flip yours over, even if it scratches, it's going to add to that style, to the patina, right?
You'll see the silver gray underneath.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're pretty durable. So if you get a paint job from me and it's patinaed, don't be afraid to use it. Go out and have fun with it. Some people don't like to do that. They just want it, the light. There we go. They want it shelf queen. So, and that's cool too.
Yeah, both ways work. I drive my stuff. I got a 3D printed shark body. The first thing I did was took it out after I finished building the truck and jumped it.
Yeah. And I also built one for my wife, right? I did the Hello Kitty. So she took first place on that one. I took third on the Honcho tow truck, but so she was all stoked.
That's awesome.
So that was fun. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this. I'm trying to build a brand as well with the merchandise. You can go on my site and buy beanies, hats, t-shirts. And I'm also coming up with some other 3D scale parts for all the, different cars and stuff. And working with some really good 3D printed guys, man. I mean,
are you going to sell the printed ones, or are you going to sell the design files for them?
So it depends. Like I'm working on a stock trunk for the 64 Impala, and that was pretty big. So I believe we're going to sell the file for that, and then people can buy the file and print it on their own.
Yeah,
because nobody wants to wait 16, 18 hours to just have it printed, and then another, and then you got to wait. It's just too time consuming. But if you buy the file, then you can do it at your own leisure, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm doing center consoles for the 64. I'm doing a trunk bed. I'm doing the new Monte Carlo's coming out. So I'm doing some stuff for that. And what else? It just like I just finished doing a custom grill for one of these Impalas. And that's what I like to do, is like these one-off things, because these guys, they want their car to stand out or to be different from everybody else's. And I created, I saw a picture of a real car, and I reached out to my guy and I said, hey, can you create that grill? And yeah, man, he made an amazing grill. Here, let me show it to you real quick. It's on this one right here.
It always amazes me. I wish I could do that kind of design work.
Yeah, me too, man. So look at this grill.
Wow. And then they're able to print it after that. And
yeah, and this is
fine
resin.
Right there. Wow.
Yeah, this is resin. So all I'm waiting for now is I got to make it gold, because he wanted it silver at the beginning, and now he wants it all gold.
Okay.
So I got to do it gold. But yeah, I mean, it's insane how these guys can do all this 3D stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I want to drive mine.
Yeah,
mine's up on the shelf up there. I got it right before I moved, and I drove it twice. Now I'm wanting to drive it again.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun, man. And what's funny is my wife likes to go crawling, but it's rare that when we go, because I'm too busy. I'm painting, and so, but I'll take time to go out on Saturday morning, and she likes to crawl, and that's why I build her one, and there we go, and so she enjoys crawling, so it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You got to go out and have fun. You can't just, I don't want this business adventure and hobby to be stressful and draining. It's fun, right? And I want to keep it that way, and that's why I like to do the patina stuff, because I enjoy that.
Yeah, and you see it happen right in front of you as you're working on it. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, and also it's very forgiving.
Yeah, that's true.
So if I mess up, and I'm like, oh, I meant to do that.
Yep. Both look old and bad. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, cool, Eric. Thanks for coming on and doing this. Is there anything that I missed that I might not have asked you about that you want to make sure people know? Like, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way? Your website?
So my my merchandise website, I also have there's panels that go on the website on there. You can go on there. I have a link where you can email me if you want a body. You can reach out me on Instagram through Messenger. So you can rcpatinaguy.com, hashtag rcpatinaguy for Instagram, and then the shopping merchandise site is also, it's shop.rcpatinaguy.com as well. And so you can go on there and buy some merchandise, and all this merchandise goes back into the hobby. So it just goes back in and recycles.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on here, and thanks everybody for tuning in to another While My Battery's Charged podcast. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Tony.